This is the first time I've ever worn my readers.
Oh yeah, it's working for you?
Sort of, yeah.
Are they prescription or?
These aren't prescription, but I bought them online. So I just ordered the frames. And they don't fit the best, but they're wonderful glasses for readers.
Are they?
Glasses, yeah.
Which site did you get it from? I got it once from, how was it?
These guys.
Oh, really? I got my Circle Z.
Oh,
They were actually bad. No, they were probably as good as anything. I gotta go. Get my shut again.
Busy summer
it is interesting to go through these though.
Yeah.
It's easier to pick out the neat things that you just normally wouldn't. It is a lot of information.
There's a lot of
It's the same night as I'm already down there and see if they actually are at that place.
Sometimes I get mixed up with that.
Well, and last year was the first time I really began to pay the attention. So yeah, it actually really like at this point it was people going.
So I kind of rely on somebody interested in it.
Yeah. It helps you get into it.
Think about it. This kind of thing goes well, it's okay.
So maybe I'm immune to it.
Maybe.
I have trouble finding it. I think of something specific, like for example.
Okay, council. I'll call this meeting to order, the council meeting of January 23rd, 2023. We've got the agenda in front of you. We've got two pinks, two late items, one from Bev Bacon on your first page of your pinked item, business arising, one from Bev Bacon regarding the ship Anchorage and the WCMRC workshop, as well as the second, we've got another letter from Bev Bacon and Nicole Shukin. I suggest that we add the pinks to the first one to 10B and the second one to, or sorry, one to 10B and one to 11B. Okay, is that clear? So that 10B is the correspondence from Bev Bacon regarding the ship Anchorage. The 11B is the correspondence from Bev Bacon and Nicole Shukin regarding the APRM notices on title. Okay, with that, no other suggestions, comments. With that, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as noted.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Great, thank you. No presentations this evening, public participation. Would anybody of our community like to have the floor for 4 minutes? And if I could remind everybody else, please turn your cell phones off and please don't use your devices, council of course and staff, and won't as well. Thank you.
They're on Challister Court. On the weekend I was over at Salt Spring and a friend took me for a walk, and it was through a road that was all gravelly, and I thought, wow, what a nice wooded area. Then I was told that it's the eco reserve, eco reserve, and I believe it was provincial. But as an eco reserve, I thought, aha, I'm thinking bufferlands here. I don't know any information, though I read a little bit on what eco reserve is, and it might be a good way to do the bufferlands there. So if you want to just bear with me for a minute, I'll just read a little bit. They're parcels of land that are key sources of biotic diversity and to exclude all human activity within their boundaries. In a sense, reserves act as repositories for much of the world's biota in perpetuity. So I really like that definition. It gives us something to look at. The goals of the eco-reserves are as follows: to protect, manage, and restore, if necessary, to restore and maintain ecological processes in their own natural cycles. The designation criteria: rare plants and animals, exemplary aquatic and terrestrial natural communities, critical wildlife habitats, uncommon geological and physical features, ecological linkages. So then I thought, okay, what this is like a private entity. Wasn't the one on Salt Spring? Salt Spring has quite a few eco reserves, eco. And so I looked it up on the Canadian Environmental Protection Act, 1999, and I found a few points that were pretty interesting. Whereas the Canadian government recognized the importance of an ecosystem approach, administrative duties take preventative and remedial measures to protect, enhance, and restore the environment, implement an ecosystem approach that considers the unique and fundamental characteristics of ecosystems, endeavor to act in cooperation with governments to protect the environment. I think there's one more that I thought I'd include. The intent of the intergovernmental agreements and arrangements entered into the purpose of achieving the highest level of environmental quality throughout Canada. So I just thought I'd point to those few things. And if this is to be a consideration to turn the bufferlands into an ecological reserve, then maybe this is something YASC would be interested in pursuing. And just thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Councillor Shukin, perhaps you can get some more information from Rick Perron.
Excellent. Yeah, good idea.
Okay. Anybody else?
Good evening. Bonnie Boover, Neil Road. First of all, I would like to thank Council, in particular Councillor Shukin and Donaldson, for moving forward with the public engagement process with respect to the upland issue. Secondly, I'm wondering about a sign, a new one, on Happy Valley Road. It's mentioning a year-long traffic light installation project. I couldn't read it fast enough as I was going down the road, but I think I saw Winter Road. And that might be for the area for construction, I don't know. But hopefully, the traffic light isn't going to be at Winter Road, because if it's to do with the Cinder Mountain Estates, I thought it was going to be at Valley View in the Langford area rather than the Machosen area for access to the subdivision. So just curious, wondered if you were aware, or if we need to know, or whatever. Thanks all, that's all.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that. Councillor Shukin.
Thanks, thanks very little and through you. I hate to tax staff even further, but I wonder if we could find out what's going on. And if I could, maybe I'll send a message to staff tomorrow just to frame up the question. And, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that myself, so thank you for bringing it to our attention.
It's brand new as at, I believe, yesterday afternoon or today. I mean, it's very new.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to speak at public participation?
Eric White, 4290 Machosen Road. At the last council meeting, you guys all acknowledged your respect for human rights. And I just want to thank you for doing that, as I think human rights are of fundamental importance to our society. And I just think that what you did was amazing. Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to speak at this meeting? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on in the agenda. Thank you for everybody who came to the meeting. We have the adoption of the minutes on page 5. This is the council meeting of January 9th. Okay, you've had a chance to read them. Go ahead.
Move adoption of the minutes of the council meeting of January 9th.
Second?
Moved by Councillor Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the receipt of the minutes, a Finance Committee meeting. Go ahead, Councillor Donaldson, page 9.
Move to receive the Finance Committee meeting minutes of January 9th, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Community Planning Committee, January 16th.
I would move the receipt of the Community Planning Committee meeting of January 16th, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Discussion? Go ahead.
Just to mention, we'll take it up at the committee, but on page 16 at the top of the page, there's a motion there, moved and seconded by Councillors Gray and Epp, that the committee recommend council direct staff to draft a policy for council consideration on stormwater management works for subdivision be referred to MEASC and PTASC for comment prior to approval by the municipal engineer. I think when we get to the committee, we'll go back and strike the words for subdivision. Those words weren't in the motion at the time.
Thank you, Councillor Gray. I would agree, yeah.
Okay.
So that was just for information.
No, actually, we can amend it here. This is the place. No, we can't. Okay. Okay. We can't. Okay. Okay. And anybody else have any other comments? No. Motion to receive then. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the Environment and Natural Areas Committee meeting.
So I move receipt of the minutes of January 16, 2023 of the Environment and Natural Areas Committee meeting.
Okay.
And I have a comment to make once we proceed.
Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Epp. Discussion.
And just when we go back, the Environment and Natural Areas Committee meeting, on page 18, the bottom of the page, there's a motion there with regards to old growth forests. And the motion actually was that the committee recommend council consider signing the United for Old Growth Declaration, and that was defeated. So I just will amend that when we get back to the committee, just again to reflect what was moved.
Okay. Okay. So noted. Anybody else on the environment? No? Okay. Call the question. All in favor? Sorry. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Moving right along to the Public Works and Protective Service Committee meeting of January 16th.
I move receipt of Public Works and Protective Services Committee meeting of January 16th. Can I have a comment?
Second?
Moved by Councillor Abt, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Discussion.
On page 23, there's a correction in a name of a resident. It's Morgan. It's spelled incorrectly. It should be B-L-E-Y.
Okay. Anything else? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the mayor's report. I don't have a written report. First of all, I'd like to thank the community for offering their condolences to me on the passing of my father-in-law. He died 5 days short of his 100th birthday, which in itself is very remarkable. He was a World War II veteran from the Royal Canadian Navy and vowed after his efforts in the war to come back to Canada and do exactly what he wanted to do, which he did. And so thank you to the community for reaching out. That was really lovely. Okay. Also, I had talked previously at a mayor's report regarding the William Head prison. The talks have continued with staff at William Head Prison. We've had meetings with the fire chief and with William Head to refine our communications protocol. Those talks are ongoing. We do have the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting coming up this week, which I will attend and get back to you on. So rest assured that those lines of communication are open. We're refining them, and we're moving forward with good intentions on both sides. And then, and that's all. That's all I have for tonight, so thank you. Okay, moving on to 7, that's the business arising. This is the Finance Committee recommendations of January 9th, 2023. Regarding the Greater Victoria Public Library. I'll take a motion.
I'd like to recommend that that council approve the Greater Victoria Public Library 2023 budget and 5-year financial plan.
Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Gray. Discussion. So I just wanted to start out. This is a huge ticket item for Machosen, so we don't take this lightly. It sort of sounds like we do because at a council meeting, we move forward on the business. Everything that we have on the council meeting has already been discussed at our committee meetings, which are in fact like a committee of the whole meeting. And so, does anybody else have any comments regarding the library budget and the information package? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next is the Community Planning Committee recommendations of this January 16th. This is on page 41 of your package. And we've got quite a few here. You want to go through them one by one, Councillor Schuker?
Yeah. Sure. I'll be first. First item here, that I would move that council direct staff to send notices to landowners within 60 meters of the property, informing them of the application and the February 6, 2023 council meeting when the issuance of the permit will be considered. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Schuken, seconded by Councillor Epp. Discussion. I think we also included we were going to have a site visit in that as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that site visit is this Thursday.
Okay.
This Thursday.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so with that, anybody else? Oh, okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Go ahead.
Three elements here to the Weir Beach stairs. That council refer the staff report on the Weir Beach stairs to the Parks and Trails Advisory Select Committee, or PTAS, and request that PTAS provide comments related to parking in addition to discussion of the Weir Beach stairs. Sorry, this isn't the motion, but that was the sense as well. So it requests that PTAS provide comments related to parking, and further that PTAS advise when and where the project would fit in terms of priority and budget.
Okay.
So
Moved by Councillor Schuken, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Discussion.
Yeah, if I may. I'm supporting the motion here, and I just was interested to note, Councillor Donaldson had mentioned this as a connector trail, which is a little bit different than in our report, I think, the staff report. And sure enough, you can see it in the District of Machosen Parks and Trails 2017 map. It's on there, and I believe as a connector trail sounds like a great idea. And I'm just wondering about the question of these with regards to parking, that the committee consider, or the context of our regional role of providing green space and access to our beaches and that kind of thing when they think about parking. So we have two things. One is that sure enough there it is as a connector trail, but the second is what's our position with regards to regional use.
Great point. Thank you. Yeah, and all I can say, Councillor Gray, is that there will be more on that for sure. Yeah.
And another comment, I think this, if I'm not mistaken, this will come back to the committee for further discussion. We had a number of community members that didn't have an opportunity to speak because they didn't understand the process.
Yeah.
It'd be most appropriate to bring this back to committee rather than council.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, with that.
Okay, second item, or sorry, third item.
Vote.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Let's take a vote then. Okay.
Yeah.
Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Go ahead.
Okay. Item C, that council approve the proposed public engagement process, and this was outlined at the last committee meeting last week, on the future of the bufferland, beginning with the development of the terms of reference for the working group. So the terms of reference itself will be before you for consideration at the next planning meeting, and I think that's on the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. Monday.
12?
Good.
13? Okay, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
something around there. So, yeah. So the current motion is before you know that. But what you did at the meeting last time was propose, basically approve in principle the public engagement plan as presented that day, with the promise of a terms of reference to come.
Okay, so that's moved by Councillor Shukin and seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Comment? Discussion? Yes?
Just wanted to make the, again, the point that we have the results of the survey, the results of the P-task review, the results of the MIASC review, and I was wondering if it might be worthwhile to help the committee to get the planner to put together a couple of options. It seems pretty clear where we may be heading based on those reports, and that might help the working group, just involving the planner anyway in the exercise. The idea of having a place, as Rick Prone just mentioned, where there's not a human activity, or maybe there's a trail going through. It's not that complicated that way, and at least gives them something to bite on right away. But I'll leave that to you, just mentioning that possibility.
Okay. No,
certainly involving the planner, I think, is important.
Yeah.
The other point, just two other points. One is that the member from PTASC and MIASC, I think it's important that we respect the roles of those committees, and individuals. I think they're a great place to source individuals, but they can't really represent the committee unless they take everything back to the committee and get a committee decision, because they don't work as individuals per se. So just the care in not compromising those individuals. And then I would just suggest that there be at the very bottom there, you've got community members, maybe a couple of community members from outside the Neeld Road and general area would be a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
And just to comment, the survey that went out, it wasn't really a survey that the residents were very happy with, and the response rate was actually pretty low. In my line of business, that it really would not be considered a very fulsome, appropriate review. So we do need to take those comments, absolutely, but I think we need more input. You've got a plan. You've got a plan in place for full engagement of the community, and I think we should stick with it. I don't think we need to tax the staff member that got so much, as we've heard tonight, on their plate. I think you can handle this with your engagement piece, as well as with collaboration with Councillor Donaldson.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the next motion.
Let's just vote then. Okay, that's okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Go ahead.
Okay. The second motion, which I'm going to amend a little bit. The motion is that the council directs staff to send the Section 219 covenant for the Centre Mountain Stormwater Detention Pond within the bufferland to the municipal solicitor for review and advice. I would like to add, following the provision of questions from either council or the committee. I think we can. There are a few questions that I'm hoping to add to the actual document itself, hopefully to focus our lawyer's review.
Okay.
Okay.
That would be good.
So Tina, do you need me to rephrase that further, or? Okay.
Okay. Everybody understand the motion? Yeah, okay, any other comments? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, great, thank you. And then,
Okay, second motion related to stormwater detention pond. And I'm going to amend this one as well. That council direct staff to draft a policy for council consideration that any major stormwater works, and I would like to say strike for subdivision and replace that with within the chosen, be referred to MIASC and PTASC for comment prior to the approval by the municipal engineer. So again, that any major stormwater infrastructure works within the chosen be referred to MIASC and PTASC for comment, etc., etc.
okay,
So,
okay.
and so moved.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Epp. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. Okay.
Again, final one, that council refer the dogs and chosen working group recommendations back to staff, and again, these were in the minutes from the last committee meeting, and that staff bring forward a draft amendment to the animal control bylaw for council consideration.
Okay, moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Discussion.
Thanks, Mayor Little. One thing I would like to continue with the motion. I want to support the motion, but I think the animal control bylaw has to be placed in a priority with the other bylaws that we're thinking about reviewing and amending possibly. So this is one of those one bylaw amongst many, I think, that we want to take a look at. So.
Okay, and don't forget that the Dogs in the Chosen Working Group had worked for a year or so, maybe more, on amending this. So we've asked them with the terms of reference to review it for us, and so it'll make it much easier for us, and we won't have to have as much of a fulsome review by committee. Of course, you're welcome to comment on anything, but we've asked what we considered the experts in our community to comment on that.
That's good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it? Moved and seconded. Any other comments? No, seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, great. Okay, on page, actually I've got something, page 43. This isn't on my agenda. No, but that's okay. Oh yes, it is. It's right at the very beginning. So this is the development variance permit, 4080 Dupree Drive. We are having a site visit, as you mentioned, this week. The options are, so we talked about this at your committee meeting, Councillor Shukin. The options are listed on page 45 here. Yeah, would you like to comment?
Excuse me?
But we already voted.
Mary Little. That information is just included as background
Ah.
to the recommendations.
Okay.
So there's several background pieces to the recommendations in the agenda package.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're moving on to
That's right. We had a motion on A on page 41. Sorry for the confusion.
No worries. Thanks.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Okay, moving on to page 71. This is business arising to be considered by council from the Environment and Natural Areas Committee. Recommendations.
Thank you. So we'll start with number 1, the Climate Action Plan options. And I move that the council support option 3 in the staff report to integrate adaptation, considerations, and actions into our Climate Action Plan with additional engagement, about 28 hours of work involved at a rough cost of $3,920.
Okay.
And if there's a seconder, I will explain.
Okay. So there's a second motion, did you say?
A seconder?
A second, oh, sorry, yeah. Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Discussion.
Yeah, so just so everyone's aware, what happened was that we had slowed down the climate action plan, which was focused on greenhouse gas emissions in the last council, and said, hey, let's add to that adaptation measures. We were given 3 options by the planner, discussing with Penna Consulting, who'd been previously working on the plan. And at the Environment and Natural Areas Committee, when we met, we said we picked the option that had the most public engagement. And so that's what we're recommending today.
Okay, we've got a motion on the table.
I think
I have a
Councillor
second.
Don-
Ms. Donaldson, second. Did you have a comment? No? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Go ahead.
The next item is about the Western Canada Marine Response Corporation proposed workshop. And the motion is that council ask to provide a summary of takeaways from the July 18, 2022 WCMRC workshop and the recommendations concerning the upcoming workshop.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Comment? Discussion? No?
So briefly, MCRC has been here before talking to us about fragile areas on the shoreline and with regards to an oil spill or marine traffic spill. And so we want to, they offered to come back and talk to us when they worked some more on their mapping, and we'd like to get back in touch with them and hear more from them.
Right, specifically in relation to their marine response to those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, the next motion is about ship Anchorage, and the motion is that council consider any Metchosin Environment Association Advisory Select Committee report and recommendations on Anchorage at its, I'm changing this, February 6th, 2023 meeting. So not tonight, but shortly.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillors Donaldson. Councillor Donaldson, discussion. The date was moved because we had a cancellation of the meeting because of the snow. That's the only reason. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
The next motion is on old growth forests, and the first motion to consider is that council send a letter to the provincial government expressing council's concerns related to logging of old growth forests, and that the committee recommend council submit a resolution on old growth forests to the 2023 Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities Convention and AGM coming up shortly.
Okay, moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Discussion.
We have a draft letter in the appendix, but we're working a draft recommendation there. We just need to do a little bit of tidying up, and we'll bring that back for February 6th council meeting for review.
Okay. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, continue.
The next motion on old growth forest is that council invite the Minister of Forest or a representative to an upcoming Environment and Natural Areas Committee or council meeting to present on old growth logging in British Columbia.
Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Discussion? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Great.
And the last recommendation from the Environment and Natural Areas Committee is about Trans Mountain Coastal local government comments on the fate and behavior of bitumen research report. The motion is that council refer the Trans Mountain response letter dated January 6, 2023 to MEASC for review and comment.
Okay, moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Comment? No? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving along to page 89. This is the Public Works and Protective Services Committee recommendations.
Yes, this is, we discussed this at the last meeting regarding the Hans Helgeson crosswalk. So obviously we're hoping to get some government money to pay for it, which would be nice. So I move that council support the BC Vision Zero and Road Safety Grant Program grant application and authorize the interim CEO to execute any agreements related to a successful grant application.
Okay, moved by Councillor Epp, seconded by Councillor Gray. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to reports for action. This is the staff report, council appointment to the Intermunicipal Advisory Committee on Disability Issues, which is the IACTI. So the IACTI is, as the name implies, many municipalities, they represent many municipalities. They comment on ability or lack of ability, disability issues within our community. It's a really valuable committee, actually. I was the council liaison for the last 4 years. They require a representative from Metchosin. And also, we have a mandate. We're obligated now to have a disability community. I hate that word. Disability. Different abilities committee within Metchosin, and so IACTI is a very good solution for us. They will need some help, and the other communities have agreed that they need some help in shoring up some of their terms of references, some of their policies. We're all willing to do that, and so we're needing a representative. We have some options here. Anybody wish to comment? Okay.
I'll just move option 1, that council consider appointing a council member as Metchosin Council representative to the Intermunicipal Advisory Committee on Disability Issues.
Okay, moved by Councillor Epp, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Anybody else, any comment? Does anybody wish to stand on this committee?
Not that I need more work, but I'm actually at a meeting the same night across the driveway, so it's about a half an hour's difference. So if no one else is interested, I certainly would be willing to stand as a representative for council on this.
Okay, that's great. Anybody else wish? It's a really great committee. It is really wonderful. They're wonderful people to work with. Sandy Jenkins is also our local member. So, okay, so seeing no other hands, I would recommend that Councillor Donaldson be our representative for IACTI.
I would second if there's a motion.
Okay, moved by me, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Discussion, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving along to reports for information. This is on page 109 of your agenda package. Aha. So we have, first of all, the public communications report statistics. The report from November and December. We can take both. I imagine some of you have some comments, so I'll take the motion and then we can discuss. So this is receiving for information.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Comment? Anybody have any comments?
Our little things seem to be tracking remarkably consistently. But if I look at page, again, 109, miscellaneous complaints, it's interesting. There's 20 as opposed to last year there were 2. So maybe they're just considering these in a different way, but overall things are tracking like quite consistently, it sounds like.
Okay. Anybody else? I noticed that we had 4 compliments. We'll take any. That's great. Garbage dumping is up, which anybody that's on social media, if you can put the note out there that increasing dumping costs us a lot of money to cart away, especially if it's contaminated material, because then we have to get it tested and then taken to a specialized site. Okay, anybody else want to comment? Yeah.
I just wanted to say, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, but there was a line item in the spreadsheet of $8,500 for fees. I'm not sure if that's correct in this manner or not, but that's pretty steep. So there's a lot of people that are either bringing stuff here or people that live here that are not taking the responsibility to dispose of the material properly.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Just note that I think the Firefighters Society is planning sometime in March to have the March for Liz, which hopefully will get a lot of the garbage on the sides of the roads collected. I'll keep you posted on the date.
Okay, so for those people who don't know who you're referring to, can you?
Yeah, Liz Jackowski, unfortunately no longer with us, but I'm sure most of you remember her along the sides of the roads with her dog or dogs at one point. And she just, it's not like she needed the money. A lot of people used to stop and try to give her money because they thought she was collecting bottles, to make money, but that wasn't the point. She was simply out there for exercise and to clean up the community. So she was quite a character, really neat person.
Okay. So seeing none, I'm going to call the question. This is, we're moving this for receiving for information, rather. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Great. Okay, so those are the two reports and the public communications report. Moving on to the Metchosin Building Inspection Department Statistics Report on page 113 of your agenda package. Okay.
Move receipt.
Move receipt from Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Gray. Comments? The 115,000 stood out for me. Okay, in terms of permit revenue? Okay. No other comments? I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. On page 115 of your agenda, we have the Planning Department applications received. You can see in 2022, we had 8 development variance permits granted, granted. And I was just wondering, I'd like to ask staff, it says temporary use permits in 2020, 2021, and 2022, 0. Did we not have a TUP for 3659 Souk Road in 2020? Or was that 2019?
2019.
Okay. 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 So anybody else? Okay. Did I get a motion to receive? No.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. No discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to number 4, item. This is the bylaw enforcement. Page 117, the bylaw enforcement summary of 2022. Okay, so move receipt by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. So this is on page 117. Do we have any comments? Discussion? No? Okay, seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Great, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the correspondence for action. We have a letter from Mark Atherton, the chair of the Parks and Trails Committee, asking for a joint meeting with Mayor and Council. To give you some context, in early 2019, soon after the unlawful cutting of the trees at the Blaney Trail, Parks and Trails asked for a joint meeting with Council. It was actually a really great meeting. It was long, it was contentious, there were tears, but we got a lot ironed out and moved forward. I think this is a fabulous idea for the new council. For the new council, I've already suggested it to Councillor Gray to pitch for the Metchosin Environmental Advisory Select Committee. I'd also like to see a joint meeting with the Agricultural Committee. I just think it's really important for us to start off right. And it's an opportunity for us to outline not only the terms of reference, but our expectation from the advisory. And it's also an opportunity for us to listen, because I'm sure what they'll say is you ask for our advice and then you don't take it sometimes. So please, in the past, I'm talking in the past, so I suspect it would be a very fruitful conversation. So, yeah, would you like to speak?
Yes, well, I've already heard that criticism as of this week. Anyways, do you wish to have us put this into a formal letter, or is this going to be?
No, I think we just need a motion, and then we'll ask staff to contact Mark Atherton.
I mean, for the other groups?
Ah.
Like, this is a nice letter. Do you want us to do a letter for the other groups as well?
No, I don't think so. I think what we'll do is have all the council liaison, yourself, Councillor Gray, reach out to the committees and ask for that, just ask if they'd like the opportunity to meet at a joint meeting. Yeah. Okay. So with that, I'll take a motion to do that, offer to me ask, and the Agriculture Advisory Select Committee.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Discussion.
Oops. And thanks for the idea earlier, I guess a couple of weeks ago, Mary Lilla and I have been talking to Rick Prawn, who's the chair of the MIAS group, and we'll take it up tomorrow night, but I believe we'll get a meeting organized as we're able to.
Okay, great. Anybody else? No? With that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Great. Thank you. Okay, 10B. This is one of the pinked items. So go back to your beginning of the evening. And this was a letter from Bev Bacon regarding a ship Anchorage and WCMRC workshop. Okay. Would you like to propose a motion?
Sure, well, we'll be discussing both of those issues tomorrow night at MIAS.
Okay, great. You know, I was thinking about this some more in relation to when we heard from WCMRC regarding the protection of the shorelines and the shipping information that we have, the container ships that are anchoring outside of our waters here en route to Vancouver. And I'd harken back to the Exxon Valdez, which actually was horrible for the environment, but it did lead to a number of regulations. And if you remember, there were 11 million gallons, that's 40 million liters of oil that was spilled along that coastline in Alaska. You can imagine if something was to happen on our shores to that effect. One of the things that I would like us to think about is what the sequelae or the consequence of that oil spill led to what was called the Oil Pollution Act of 1990 in the States. I'm not sure, I haven't done enough research, if the Oil Pollution Act of 1990 is very similar to our Canadian Shipping Act. I'd like somebody, maybe you know, I'd like somebody to take this up and see. Well, I think we should be informed because we, as a council, we often think about what happens in Metchosin, but the coast is also part of our environment as well. And I think it's important for us to be educated along that line. Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I would just say that because of Alison Leduc and Bev Bacon's interest in this and bringing it back to us, we're going to tackle this. It's a sad thing what's happening in Vancouver, and most unfortunate. Wouldn't wish it on our neighbors there, but it sure puts a point to the work that Alison's been doing in preparation for the MIAS meeting tomorrow night, and I'm sure it will pique our interest even more than otherwise.
Yeah, it certainly gives us pause to thought. Anybody else want to comment on that? No. Okay, so we're going to receive this for information. A motion from Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Okay. Opposed? No, none. Carried.
I could just add, if people look out today, there's a ship anchored on Constance Bank, so you can see where that is relative to where we are here. And now, eyes can deceive, but it's out from Albert Head. So it's not too far away from where we are.
Not too far, and it would, if there was a spill there, it would spill all.
One can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Did I call the question? I think I did. Yeah. Okay. Good. And moving on to page 121. And we're going to move on to page 121. So this is the letter from the APRM regarding bylaw enforcement and the ALC, the Agricultural Land Commission.
Mayor Little, I would move for receipt, but I have a few comments to make as well.
Okay, moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Comment.
So thanks. I just wanted to note a few points in this letter, this very excellent letter from Kathleen Zimmerman of the APRM. Kathleen is raising several points here. 2 points in terms of use of putting a notice on title. So the ALC can apparently do this in terms of addressing violations that are under their purview. And Kathleen also notes that this is a tool that local governments can use as well in terms of issues related to the building code and local building bylaws. So a notice on title, as I understand it in section 57 of the community charter, it's really specific to those two issues, building code and building bylaws. So can't just use it to make a note of any bylaw violation.
Mm-hmm.
So the second issue here is related to a specific property, and that property is 4003 Souk Road. And I mentioned that this property has been the subject of discussion at other council meetings. But related to the notice on title, I wonder if, through you, Mayor Little, I wonder if I could ask Suman, I believe she has an update on that related to this property. If I could.
Can you come to the mic, Susan, so that people at home can hear? Yeah.
So through the chair, the ALC has in fact placed a remediation order on this particular property back in October 2022. So that has been in place since October 2022.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thanks very much for finding that out. Just some background on this property. The owners received an approval for soil deposits through the Agricultural Land Commission. Boy, I think that was as early as 2006, and these were permissions and permits to dump several 100,000 cubic meters on this property, or deposit, not dump, for an agricultural objective, and that objective was for the development of a turf farm. A number of years ago, the property owner went to the ALC to ask for an extension for their soil deposit permit through the ALC. And what they had to do was prove where they were in terms of the development of the turf farm. And the ALC, based on the information they provided, felt that there was not substantive progress on the matter of the development of the turf farm, and they decided to withhold the permit extension. The ALC also asked for a number of things from the landowner. Excuse me. And this included a reclamation plan and topographical survey to bring the ALR land on that property towards some sort of form of agricultural use and purpose. And to date, I think it's pretty clear that there's been no action on this based on the notice on title. What I would like to see if the district can do is send a letter to the ALC asking for a further update on this property. And I would make a motion toward that goal.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Shukin to ask staff to send a letter to the ALC. Seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Discussion. Councillor L.
Yeah, sorry to make you run up to the mic again, but I was just wondering if in this remediation policy, like what if there are terms, or if you know the terms, if there's any punishment involved in this or deadlines, just what exactly, can you just let it go on forever, or what exactly is going to go on with that?
I'll have to get back to you with the details of that in terms of if there's any penalty related to that, but the requests that Councillor Shukin has mentioned, those were all the requests that were made to the property owner for remediation. So I can definitely bring back the details to answer to your questions the next meeting.
Yeah, it would just be interesting, just because he's let this, I mean, this has dragged on for years, so it would be nice if he does have some kind of a deadline or at least a punishment penalty.
I can follow up with ALC in that as well.
Thanks.
Okay, so any other comments?
So maybe, I'm just trying to think of what I should do with the motion. Can
You want to amend it?
amend it, I guess. If our CAO is going to check with the ALC on this, that might be sufficient in terms of where we're at, instead of writing a letter. So I think we have to be expeditious with and like use our staff time on the letter.
Okay, so
So-
the motion is not to send a letter, but to use the phone?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
with that, I don't think we need an amendment. With that, I'll call the question.
Maybe if I could just clarify, it is to seek clarification from the ALC in terms of the status of this property in light of the issues that were noted in 2020.
Okay. Okay. One comment that I had is I didn't know this tool was available to us, so I think we should keep it in mind for the future as well. It seems like a very powerful tool. Of course, the land has to be within the ALC, but I think we should keep it in mind. So,
Okay.
any other questions, comments? If not, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Great. Thank you. Okay, that's 11A. Moving on to 11B, which is regarding your pinks. We call them pink because they're on pink paper to remind us. So this is correspondence from Bev Bacon and Nicole Shukin regarding the remediation order. Oh, sorry, regarding the, let's see. Regarding the notification on title. So they are both speaking in support of them. Did anybody want to say anything about that? One of the letters referenced a very comprehensive review by one of the reporters in the Focus magazine. There's a link, and it should be in the website as well if anybody wants to hear more about that particular property and other. In the article, there was other properties in Machosen in terms of bylaw infractions. So, any other comments? No? Go ahead.
So just have one question. Is it only on ALC or can this be used on other properties that are
Well,
not compliant?
the notice on title, like from the community charter, again, is specific to building stuff. And I believe the ALC can use it if there are issues related to ALC land or ALR land. So, yeah, it's, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know all the mechanics and the details around the ALC's use of it. But it sounds like it's been put to decent effect here, so.
I think that the way I read Section 57, it's a tool that all municipalities can use at their benefit. We could use through the ALC the powers within the Agricultural Land Commission, but as I understand in reading the Act is that we have it as a tool to use in land use issues. That's how I read it. Sue-Lynn, did you want to comment?
Just to confirm that that is available to all of council, and we have used it on a few properties within the municipality.
Okay. 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 Call the question. Is there a question?
Move receipt.
Oh, move receipt. Moved by Councillor Shukin. Sorry, I'm getting tired. Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so that was those two letters. We have no bylaws, no other business. We're going to, go ahead.
Motion to adjourn?
We've got question period. Yeah, that's okay.
Oh my gosh.
No, everybody's trying to rush out because we've all been up since 5 in the morning. Question period. So this is before 9:30, so we've got up to 20 minutes maximum for questions from the community. Please.
My question is, do councillors know what makes it easy for those of us here to hear you?
Press the button.
It's not just push the button, although that's very important. What it is speak close to your microphone. I made particular observations tonight, and those who speak within a couple of inches of their microphone are clearly audible. And those who don't, even if they naturally have stronger voices, are not. So please, move your microphones closer to your mouths.
Thank you. Patty, I have to ask though, Patty, how did I do? I was trying to.
You were the prize
Yeah.
example.
Patty, can I ask you?
And Councilor Rapp also was very, very good.
Patty, I just wanted to ask you, and at the back of the room, can you hear us? We have invested in a new microphone here, which is an all microphone. It hasn't helped at all?
It helps when you're closer. When you're farther away, it doesn't, and you do move back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand how difficult it is to keep that in mind as you're dealing with the other business. I really do. I think it's probably one of those things where practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We've also got 1, 2, 3, 4 microphones that are suboptimal. It would be really great to upgrade those. I would vote in favor of those over new chairs, really, because people need to hear you. And I think Councillor Gray is limited in terms of his reach there, so. Yeah.
He can lean forward more.
Okay. Please, come to the mic.
Mayor, Council,
Come.
I'm one of your,
Can't hear you.
Thank you.
Tom Cole, Hibbert Lane. I'm one of your people that are in this meeting. I have 2 hearing aids in right now. This is a controller that I have, and I can turn it up or turn it down. And yes, when it comes to your microphones, if you lean into your microphones, that's great. Jace, you're talking too loud into your microphone. And the mayor is talking very well.
Too quiet.
And Councillor Gray, when you take your mask off, you have to be closer to it. And I try and sort who's on and whatnot when it comes to this. I do have another item that's in my truck. I didn't bring it in tonight. And it's a small transmitter. I can put it on the desk in front of you, and then I can turn my hearing aids into the transmitter, and everything you say will be transmitted back to you.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree, those microphones need to be used. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to ask questions? This is your moment this week. Please ask as many questions as you like. Okay.
How was the pizza?
It's good, okay.
Okay, seeing no other questions, thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Gray.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, staff.
It does a lot longer. I could reach across here and just see if that'll. It just